අපි එතුමාත් සමග යන්න බෑ. නමුත් මේ අවස්ථාවේදී එතුමාත් ඉදිරියට ඇවිල්ලා ඒ අභියෝගයේ බාර ගැනීම පිළිබඳව එතුමාටත් අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරන මේ රට ඉදිරියට ගෙන යන්න ආර්ථික වශයෙන් සමාජීය වශයෙන් අපි සහයෝගය එතුමාට ලබා දෙන්න කටයුතු කරනවා කියන එකත් සඳහන් කරනවා. අවසාන වශයෙන් ගරු කතානායකතුමනි උතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලීම කරන්නේ අපේ මේ මන්ත්‍රී වරුන් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඉන්න 225 වගේම අපේ ඉන්න දේශපාලන අධිකාරී සියලු දෙනා සභාපතිතුමන්ලා වගේම අපි අපේ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ආරක්ෂා කළ යුතුයි. සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ආරක්ෂා කළ යුතුයි. පොලිසියට බල කරලා බය කරලා පොලිසිය ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරන ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්න ඇති තැනට මේ රට පත් කරන්න කටයුතු කරපු ඒ සියලු දෙනාමත් මේ වගකීම ගත යුතුයි. ඒ නිසා අපිට වගේම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්න මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් ඝාතනය කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ඝාතනය කරන එක මේ කණ්ඩායම් වලට අපහසු කාරණාවක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක නිසා ඔබතුමාගෙන් අපි ඉල්ලීම කරනවා මේ മന്ത്രിවරු වගේම අපේ ඉන්න ගමේ ග්‍රාමීය ජනතාව අපේ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ව්‍යාපාරිකයන් ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඔබතුමා ඒ සහයෝගය කටයුතු කරන්න ඒ සඳහා නායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්න කියලා මම අවසාන වශයෙන් ඉල්ලීම කරනවා.
Honorable M.A. Sumandiran.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak at this important adjournment motion. First, let me express my deep sadness at all the violence that was perpetrated, particularly to my colleagues in this House, whose houses were burnt, attacked, and most certainly to my condolences to Mr. Honorable Athukorala's family for losing him at this time. We don't condone any violence from anyone. And it is noteworthy that a lot of this violence, or may I call it counter-violence, and I'll say why I'm calling it counter-violence, was aimed at members of parliament mostly and other politicians. My colleague, Honorable Rasamanikam, and I met you the other day in your official residence, Honorable Speaker, and when the emergency was declared. And when we came out, the press was there, and both of us made an appeal to everyone not to resort to violence. And more importantly, we said, don't destroy the institutions. We stand with you for the change that you desire. But those changes must happen within these institutions. If these institutions are destroyed, then it will only be anarchy that prevails in the country. And that is not good for anyone. We said we understand the frustration of the youth, that there is so much delay, that it takes so long. But nevertheless, there is no other way. Today is a good example of these delaying tactics. Almost for 40 days, people have been camped on the road saying, Gota, go home. But those who call themselves people's representatives, who come and sit here, are deaf. They cannot hear that. They can't even agree to take up for discussion, for debate, a matter that people have been shouting from the streets. This is unprecedented in this country. Unprecedented. This has never happened in this country before. for over a month. Not just in one place, but in several places. Surely the people's representatives, if we dare call ourselves that, must be prepared to discuss it here. Why block that? What's the fear? What's the fear? Why can't we discuss it? That shows that this parliament also has lost its legitimacy. Not only has the president lost his legitimacy, this parliament also has lost its legitimacy. Parliament must be dissolved. But again, that will be put to vote here. And MPs who are holding on to their positions will vote against that motion to dissolve parliament. And they think that that way they can carry on. No, they cannot. They are pushing the people of this country to seek other remedies. That is the danger. That is the danger of not giving the voice of the people an expression here. That this danger you don't seem to understand. I condemn the violence against the...
Order, please. Honorable Bandara will take the chair now.
How many minutes? Honorable member, go ahead.
Honorable presiding member, it's strange to address you now, since another member was asked to chair when the speaker got off the chair now. That was interfered with by the leader of the house, who seems to decide who sits at what time. Honorable Rasamanikam was sent a message to take over the chair when the speaker got down. And the leader of the house, now this is the kind of thing that is happening in this house. This is why people are demonstrating outside. The honorable leader of the house did not want Honorable Rasamanikam to chair, and you were sent for, word was sent for you, and you were brought here, and then you have now mounted the chair. Nevertheless, I continue with my speech. This parliament is not giving ear to what the people are saying. All that I asked was that, let's debate it here. Now, what's your problem? Why can't you debate it? There was emergency declared. There was emergency declared, and Article 155 4(2) says, if the parliament is at the date of the making of such proclamation separated by any such adjournment or prorogation as will not expire within 10 days, a proclamation shall be issued for the meeting of the parliament within 10 days. Now, 6th, the parliament adjourned. Next meeting today, 17th. There was a gap of over 10 days. The Constitution very specifically says that if it is separated by longer than 10 days, another proclamation shall be issued summoning parliament. That has not been done. That wasn't done. Article 42, which I read earlier in the day, says the president is responsible to this parliament, not only for his duties, performance, powers and functions under the Constitution or written law, but also for the law for the time being relating to public security. He's failed. Even in the most recent exercise of his powers under the Public Security Ordinance, where the Constitution says he shall make another proclamation summoning parliament. He has not done that. He has not done that. So that is just the most recent one. Now, isn't this an important issue? I know that the violence that was perpetrated on the 9th and thereafter are important issues. I condemn it. I haven't still got to the genesis of that violence. I'll come to that in a moment. But the counter-violence against politicians of whichever side, we condemn unambiguously. But we also condemn the violence that started the counter-violence. And what is that? The violence that started the counter-violence was on the morning of the 9th of April, the 9th of May, the meeting at Temple Trees. Now, the Attorney General has named 22 people, because until then the police won't act. Attorney General, whom we have criticized as being partial, as being the person who is withdrawing cases against politicians on the government side, is now trying to redeem himself. Nevertheless, he has now named 22 people. How many of them are members of this August Assembly? We call it August Assembly. How many of them are members of this House? All on the government side. The Attorney General, whom you appointed, who's been acting on your side, now he is naming government members. And he has said, arrest them, including the senior DIG for Colombo, for allowing this to happen. But eventually, the buck stops with the president. He was in charge. He was in charge of the security. He held the post of defense minister and that of internal security. I heard the honorable member who proposed this motion repeatedly say that the police did not intervene, that the police looked the other way, that the police did not even take the numbers of the motorcycles in which the assailants came. Now, who was in charge of the police on that at that time? Your own president. Your own president. And when we move to discuss a matter, a motion of censure on the president, you protect him. You block that motion. How is this possible? The very person who allowed your house to be destroyed, the very person who allowed attack by all those assailants on peaceful demonstrators in Golface the other day. It took more than an hour. It took more than an hour for those assailants to walk from Temple Trees to Golface after destroying the huts that have been put up by the demonstrators outside Temple Trees. What was the president doing for 1 full hour? He was just there watching. Must have thought, jolly good. Let them destroy Gotagogama also. I'll take 2 for the price of 1. After they did the Temple Trees, he must have thought, bonus for me also. Let me get this also out. Otherwise, how do you explain president who is functioning from the president's house, not seeing for over an hour these assailants coming and mercilessly attacking unarmed, peaceful protesters? The world had said this. Everyone has said that this is the most impressive of all the protests that they have seen. For over a month, they did not allow violence. They did not use violence. Peacefully demonstrating. And who was let loose on them? The government goons. Will anyone here say otherwise? I'm saying those were government goons, because they came out of the Prime Minister's residence. They came out after expressing their support to the Prime Minister at a meeting. He gave lunch and perhaps ample liquid refreshment along with it, and set them loose on peaceful protesters.
Honourable Member.
And then you have the gall. Yes?
2 more minutes.
Sorry?
You have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
How many?
And you have the goal to protect the president even now. The one who allowed that attack, the one, more importantly, the one who allowed attacks on your own houses. It is the president. He collapses the economy of this country. He comes, addresses the nation and says, I made wrong decisions, I'm sorry. When you say I made wrong decision, next line must be, therefore I resign. That is the democratic tradition. My decision on chemical fertilizer was wrong, he says. My decision in delaying going to the IMF was wrong, he says. So resign. Take responsibility. Why only the central bank governor and the secretary to the treasury? That final decision was by the president. Now, that is one thing. What happens there after all this violence? Right? And the government members unashamedly are standing here complaining about the violence against them without condemning the person who is responsible for that violence, without condemning the person who allowed that violence to happen against themselves. Shameless behavior. And when we move to even have a discussion taken up today, only a motion of censure, nothing happens to your president. He doesn't lose his job as a result. Even that you protect him. Even that you protect him. Fortunately, today, all those who protected him, your names have been put on the board. The country knows who's protecting the president, who is not protecting you. Absolutely shameless conduct by the Prime Minister and all those who sit on the government benches. So I say the Prime Minister, because this motion of censure, when it was drafted, the Prime Minister who was in the opposition at that time wanted to have a look at it. I have the record here, evidence of that. I sent it to him on the 26th of April. He vetted it. He told me, let's send it to Golface. We'll have their consent also. He sent it to Golface. He got their consent also. And he issued 2 public statements on the 30th of April saying, I will vote for this. There was a tweet also that he will vote for it. Now, if he will vote for it, why did he vote against that being taken up today? What games is he playing? Only thing that has changed between that day and today is that he has got a job. He has got a job as a Prime Minister. So he has switched. He has traded. He has traded his principles, his policy, which he publicly told this country, for a Prime Minister's job. That's the Prime Minister we have in this country. We are ashamed. We are ashamed to have, as the leader of the country, as the head of the state, this president, whom the whole country wants to leave. We are ashamed to have, as Prime Minister, someone who does not know whether he is sitting or standing or walking. He doesn't know what his principles and his policies are. He says one thing, does another thing. He says, let's have a woman as a deputy speaker, publicly said it, and he can't get his members to vote for that woman candidate as a deputy speaker. That is the Prime Minister who is asking for support from the opposition. He doesn't have the support of his own people on the government benches. He is asking for support from us. We will support anything for the sake of the country. We will support everything that is done to save this country from this economic calamity, for which the President is absolutely responsible. The final responsibility lies with the President. But yet, for the sake of the people, we will support every right move But that does not mean we will take a step back from criticizing, from laying the blame at your feet, because that is where it lays. It doesn't lay anywhere else. And now it lays at the feet of the Prime Minister as well. He says, today I didn't come take this job to protect anybody. Then why did he protect the President in this vote that was taken a little while ago? Why did he do that? He stands exposed. The so-called government stands exposed. The President stands exposed. Your motion, we support it. Your adjournment motion is against the President, who was responsible for law and order in this country. Thank you very much.
What's the point of it?
මුලසුනට මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි මගේ වරප්‍රසාද පිළිබඳ ගැටලුවක් තියෙන්නේ ඔබතුමා මේකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා සවන් දෙන්න කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා ඔබතුමා ඔය මුලසුනේට පැමිණෙන්න පෙර මට මෙතන ඉන්න වේතනලාරි නිලධාරි මහත්මයෙක් මට කතා කරලා කිව්වා කතානායකතුමාට මේ පුටුවෙන් යන්න අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා ඒක නිසා කරුණා කරලා ඔබතුමාට පුළුවන් නම් මේ මුලසුනට පැමිණෙන්න කියලා මගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා ඊට පස්සේ මම මේ මුලස එතන මම ඇවිල්ලා පුටුවට ඇවිල්ලා වාඩිලා හිටියා මෙතන ඉන්නවා මේ මගේ සහෝදර හිතවා ජීවන් තොණ්ඩමන් මහත්මයා එතුමත් ඇවිල්ලා ඇහුවා ඇයි ඉන්නේ කියලා මං කිව්වා මුලසුනට එන්න කියපු නිසා මං ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ කියලා ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී මම දැක්කා මේ සභානායකතුමා දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මහත්මයා ඇවිල්ලා මේ එන්න කියලා කතා කරලා සෙක්‍රටරි ජෙනරල්ට පණිවිඩ දෙක තුනක් යවලා ඊට පස්සේ මට මේ මුලසුනට ගන්නේ නැතුව ඔබතුමාව මුලසුනට ගන්න කියලා පණිවිඩයක් කිව්වා මම පැහැදිලි එක දැක්කා. ඒතකොට මම ඇහුවා සෙක්‍රටරි ජෙනරල්ගෙන් ඇයි මොකද්ද මේ වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒතකොට මට සෙක්‍රටරි ජෙනරල් කිව්වා don't ask me. එතකොට මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුලේ මං හිතන්නේ ඔය පුටුව මම ඔය කතානායකතුමාගේ පැනල් එකේ ස්පීකර්ස් පැනල් එකේ මම මෙම්බර් කෙනෙක්. Honorable Dinesh Gunawardena I'm a member of the speakers panel. You know, I hope that this parliament is an independent institution. This is not SLPP parliament. Right? All members have equal rights. හැම മന്ത്രി කෙනෙක්ටම සම අයිතිවාසිකම් තියෙනවා. එතකොට මට මේ පුටුවට එන්න කියලා ඔබතුමා මේ පුටුවෙන් මාව දාන්න එපා කියලා කියන එක මට නම් ඔය පුටුවේ ඉන්න එක ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි. පුටුවේ හිටියත් එකයි නැතත් එකයි. මේ අද ආණ්ඩුවට විරුද්ධව මම කතා කරන නිසා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාගේ මේ ඩීල් ගැන කතා කරන නිසා මම මුලසුනේ ඉන්න එක ඔබතුමා කැමති නැත්නම් මොකද්ද මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තියෙන ස්වාධීනභාවය? පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ට් ආයතනයක් මේක. ඔබතුමා දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන ඇමතුමා ඔබතුමාගේ මම පිළිතුරක් බලාපොරොත්තු ඔබතුමා මෙතන ඉන්නවා. ඔබතුමා පුළුවන් නම් කියන්නේ ඔබතුමා ඇයි ඒක කරේ කියලා ඔබතුමා ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක්. මම ගරු කරන මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක්. ඔබතුමා සභානායකයන් ඇයි ඒ දේ කරේ කියන එක ගැන පැහැදිලිව කිරීම පුළුවන් නම් කරන්න. මොකද
අරු සභාපතිතුමනි මාණික්කම රාසමාණික්කම් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා එක එක කාලවල එක එක ඒවා කියනවා. නමුත් මම මේකට පිළිතුරු දෙන්න ලෑස්ති නැහැ. කතානායකතුමාට තමයි පිළිතුරු දීමේ අයිතිය තියෙන්නේ. ඉගෙන ගන්න.
නෑ. නෑ. මේ ළඟට ඔබතුමා කරුණු පැහැදිලි කිරීම කරා ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා නෑ ඔකට පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් තියෙනවා නෑ SM චන්සේන ගරුණතුමා
ගරු මූලාසනයේ සිටින මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි ගරු මූලාසනයේ සිටින මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි ගරු මූලාසනයේ සිටින ගරු